Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're back on the little Go Kart today, and as soon as I can get metal from the scrapyard for old Pickle, there's one little spot on the frame that I don't have enough metal to do. We'll be back on that with everything being closed and shut down, the non-essentials. The scrapyard's closed, and I'm cheap, so we've got to get this done though, so this little guy can enjoy his summer. And we got the seat kind of mocked up. I don't have the top centerpiece welded yet, and I actually may shove that in just a little bit more. The bottom's about perfect though. Clears on both sides good. Let's see if I can slide it over just a little bit. Oh, it's hitting right there. So we may change that turn just a little bit, make that come in a little bit differently. But other than that, I think that's going to work out perfect. And then found a set of, in the stash at Dad's, there's a set of snowflakes. I think they're going to be too big, kind of obnoxious looking. So I don't think I'm going to use those. Take a look at it. Get you back far enough. Yeah, I don't like those. It just kind of looks funny. And these are the real, legit glass ones. So knowing my kid, they'd get broke. And that would be a real shame, because they're in excellent shape. So, a set of those. Dad had a set of peanuts. There's a poke nose. I think that's going to be too big too. It's really not a poke nose. It's off of like a 60... I don't know, what is that, 64? Yeah, that's too big. That doesn't look right. And then we got some dash pieces. Which those may not be half bad. If I cut that right there, leave the chrome strip on, will that fit? Oh yeah, that'll work. So those will work. Even with the gas gauge. That's an early one. Oh well, we have more. So that, I'll just cut below the strip, the chrome strip. That is going to work. And then he found a license plate. That's about the right size. So there's a regular Indiana plate. So that's going to be about the right ratio. And then he brought these, and I think if I just cut it back and make the turn signal just a little bitty one, if I cut that off, I think that'll be about the right size. And these are legit VW, but they're so pitted. You could never, well, wouldn't say never, but wouldn't want to use them on a car. We've got better ones than those, so might try that. But I think I'm going to have to make that and some kind of tail light, because I don't like those. They're too big. So first thing I'm going to do is try to get the metal done back here in this back portion today. And in order to kind of figure out where that needs to be, I need to finish the back part of the seat. And to finish the back part of the seat, I need to finish this part of the seat. So we've got our work cut out for us, so we better get busy. Yeah, I didn't get as far as I wanted to. I got sidetracked. I had to clean this place up. I couldn't work in that anymore. But we did get the seat built. But I think it's going to be okay. I put a piece in the middle, and then on the sides I put a little stay there as well. And it actually, it feels stronger than a real seat. And I added a few of those in there. So I think that's gonna be fine. Like I said, that center part there, it kind of bows in a little bit, but once we get a mat on it, not a mat, but let me go in this other way, get a pad on it, it'll be fine. And we've got quite a bit. You can't really see that. We got quite a bit of clearance on each side. So I think that'll work just fine. So, pretty happy with that. Get the back done. Before anyone gets too crazy with me cutting up a 59 seat, this is in pretty rough shape. And it's blown out down here on the real rusty end. On the other side there's a hole in it. So it's not that great. And you can see the car was wrecked on the passenger side, so that's all banged up. So, overall it's in relatively good shape. The springs aren't all rusty or anything, which is kind of shocking. So, it's blown out there too. Let me get the plasma cutter out and we'll get that cut up and see if we can get it in the car. So all I've got holding this now is little clips. Oh, I lied. What's hanging on there? Oh, it just caught on the edge. Let me get that off of there. So that's what we've got. The back part of a driver's seat would have been about right, but it wasn't quite wide enough. So let me tack that up. I'm going to measure down here because it does kind of flare out there. We'll see if we can make that work. Get that bolt off of there. It's a 14. Here. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. Gotcha. Well, there's what we've got. I don't know. Do I like it sitting up above the car? Or do I want it to just, the back bar to just kind of contour with the actual body? I think the front spring part is right. I mean, that fits perfect. The nice thing about it sitting up high like that, if he got going a little too lickety split, it would keep his head from snapping back. Kind of acts as a headrest. I don't know that it's high enough to act as a headrest though. I really need him here for once. Sit in it. Well, me play around with that and kind of see what I can come up with. The other thing that's kind of a bummer is I was hoping to be able to extend that, the seat part. See, I'm wondering if I shouldn't just go straight down, because if I go straight down, I can run it right beside this tank and we can drop that back a little bit, and I think that might work a little bit better. I've got those pieces left here that I cut out of the frame. That'd probably be enough to do what we need to do. Yeah, let me think on this a minute. I'll bring you back. Okay, so here's what I did. So initially, let me get my orientation here. Initially, we went like that. I am flipping it. You can't see nothing. Hang on. Initially, we were like this. That really sharp curve up there, I am flipping it like that, and that allows me to clear the gas tank. So let me get that welded up, and then we'll take the two halves over and see if we can get it in there. Well, it just looks kind of like a bunch of wires in there, but clears the tank. And we should be able to pretty much do what I wanted to do with it. That peg there is down a little further. This one's up a little higher. So I'll have to heat the one that I already heated and kind of bend it down a little bit, because it needs to sit over like that one over there is. Because I'm going to come up off of the frame with a little tab for those to hook into. So yeah, pretty much the seat covers right where I wanted it to, right in the middle of the gas fill. And this is sitting a little crooked right now because of that side over there sitting higher. But I think that looks pretty good. I think the height is better also. It came down a little bit when I did that. So I think that's much better. I think I'm ready now for this back piece. And it'll be bead rolled where you stop. So this one I crisscrossed because at the middle I didn't want it to. I'm going to put a stopper under that. I wanted it to kind of peak a little bit right there. Let me see if I can get a piece of paper. I'll show you what I mean. So typically what happens when you want to bead roll a panel, if this piece of paper is our panel, we would bead in, stop like this, so that the beads never actually intersect. But when you crisscross, it makes this section kind of bump up. So that was kind of my thinking, I guess. I don't know why. I'm planning on putting right where that bump up is, there'll be a brace underneath the floor. So let's see, if this is the front of the car here, and this is the back of the car here, there is a piece of metal that runs right here. And I'm planning on putting like a little bumper stopper there to keep it from rattling. So I guess that was why I did that. But the next, so on the back of the car, so if we've got our beetle here, here's our seat. That's a little too curved, but on the back of it, my plan is either to bead roll kind of like that, which would kind of mimic the vents of a Volkswagen, or go the other way. We could go this way, where we've kind of got the slits, kind of something like that. Or we could go with that X principle, where we bead roll, bead roll, bead roll, bead roll. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. We'll just kind of have to see what the panel looks like. It'll have to be beaded because there's so much dead air there that it's not going to be strong. And if we put a bead in it, it's going to be plenty strong. I could even, double vent the bead like that. I kind of like the look of this coming off of the seat in my mind. I may roll it and decide that that's not the way to go. but I'm kind of liking this one here. So now that I've got the seat in there, we can kind of figure that out at least. And then once we figure this panel out, the panels that come down behind the seat that are down here, we'll figure out how those hook in. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get a piece of cardboard and we'll get that shape cut out and go from there. I got that rear tin in there. And Dalton's design, I gave him a couple of options and he chose this design. This is the design you chose? Yeah? So I'm happy with it. I think it turned out really nice. There's a bend, a slight bend right here, so we didn't put a bead there just so it would kind of flex up, but I think that looks pretty nice. I just did a block of wood in the 1.5 inch rib that's here, and I screwed that in on the side, and then my piece of metal just screws into that from the bottom side. So that is done. I still need to make a cap cut out here, and I really probably should have waited on that bead before cutting that out, or done that after I cut it out, but it's done now and I'm not going to redo it, so it is what it is. So score 1 on that one. Now we just gotta do some upholstery. Don't hate me. Cutting up good parts here. You know what? That camera's probably going to vibrate too much, so let me move you to a different spot. Wish I could leave you there, but I think it'd just be too bumpy since I'm going to be using the... Let's see if that fits on the car. Oh yeah. Look at that, look at that, look at that. Haha. Alright, let's cut that other one. Yeah, the other one is the one that'll make you sick because this is a non-gas gauge. This is a somebody help me out, pre-61? Pre-61. And I think I'm going to take that screen out of there because I don't want to cut that. This one doesn't have one, so we'll go ahead and save the screen. So let me get that one cut down, and we'll kind of grind them down so they're all both the same, and then we'll put them in there and see what they look like. Well, it's the next day, and I've had Mr. D take a seat here and kind of see where we are pedal relation-wise to where he's going to be seated. The bottom of the seat has to be all the way back in order for him to kind of sit comfortably. And there's probably going to become a time where I have to move these pedals back. But for now, it's perfect, and he actually has a little bit of room to grow. So he'll have to sit up just a little bit on the seat. But the problem is when I had the seat back, this seat back, attached to these seat springs earlier, it wanted to move it in further. So the seat wanted to actually ride about right there. So that's half of my seat is gone. And that just didn't work. So when I went to put the tubing part in, it would hit, you can see it kind of bows out. It's going to hit the engine. So we definitely don't want that. Yeah, baby.
I need some black tape.
Like electrical tape?
Yes.
What are you building?
A gun for the spaceship.
Okay, let me
The
get you some.
Star Wars gun.
All right, hang on. Always an interruption with that guy. So, the springs by themselves work perfectly if I just set them in there. It's kind of hard to see with the lighting, but that's going to work perfect. And if I extend these back a little bit, they'll actually cover the tank. So I think we're going to go with that. We're going to abandon this frame for now. And there's a little part of my soul that's upset that I cut up a 59 bent up frame. It's just hard for me to cut pieces sometimes. But I think that's going to work perfect. So if we can just come up with a way to make, I think what I'll do is cut, there's some of this flat steel on the remainder of the frame, and I'm just going to taper it down into this, and that'll be our attachment point. I think that's going to work. I just went back and stripped off a couple of flat pieces of that spring steel and welded those to each side. And that gives us a real nice seat. And then these two springs that are on the side here that aren't attached. So these two guys here, here and here. I'm going to stretch out this whole thing on top, just spread it out a little bit to kind of cover more back there. So once I have kind of stretched those out, we'll put a couple of these little clips back on those two, and that'll give it some rigidity there as well. So I just got to keep it off the tank. That's the only thing. So I think that I'm going to call a win. Go ahead and stretch out, get a torch, and we'll heat these. And when you heat these springs, if you put enough tension in them, so if I stack a couple of blocks right here, and I just kind of go across and heat a couple of wood blocks or something in here to stretch those out, when I heat them, it'll actually relieve itself and it'll just open up. There it is, kind of with the seat sitting in it. So the seat back, when I put the fabric or the vinyl on it, I'll make it, you may not even see this outer bead anyway, but I'll make it have like a Velcro strip or something that'll cover that. And so then to start it, you'll just undo that, tip the seat forward to fill it with gas or whatever, and the pull starts over there on that other side. So that should work pretty well, I think. Make it the least complicated as possible. He eventually wants this to be a convertible because Uncle Aaron has convertibles, and so, you know, we got to be like Uncle Aaron. So there'll be a convertible attachment thing here anyway, eventually. So that is what we've got today. What do you think, bud?
Good.
Good. All right. I've just grabbed a piece of red leather I had in my art room just to show you kind of what it'll look like when we have some upholstery on there. So you really won't see anything at all in front of the seat. So that's all you're going to see. And I think that's good. The body itself is not perfectly the same on each side though, because I put a screw in each corner, and you'll notice the gap here is bigger than the gap here. It's not glaringly obvious, but that point is dead center, and then I measured on the other side of it, and then the gap is there. Wish I'd have moved that in just a little bit. If I'd have noticed it, I would have, but too late now. So I think we'll stop on that and move on to something else. I'll probably do the upholstery last. Door panels, things like that. But gotta get those floors back in. And I think I had, I'd initially turned that floor up. I think I probably will just truncate it right there. And this one, go ahead and leave it. And it may not reach all the way up here, so I may have to rivet something to it. That kind of stinks. Oh well. Live and learn, right? Never built one of these before. So, we'll get it. There's a little turn signal I came up with. I took a real one and just cut it down. Here's an actual turn signal, and so I made it quite a bit smaller. It's okay if it's a little bit oversized. I just don't want it to be too exaggerated. I can actually cut it back probably a little bit more. And then I was trying to come up with something I could do for the lens. I initially thought that would work, but the angle is wrong. So I tried heating it, and this stuff is just so brittle. There's just no flex left at it at all. I tried a Coke bottle, the bottom of a Coke bottle, and a 2-liter bottle would probably come pretty close. This is just off of like a 20 ounce. So if I had a 2-liter, get that in there all the way. Yeah, you get the idea. That would be pretty close. But I had this light bulb in my stash. And I buy these on Amazon for the lamps that I make. And this is the only one I have left, of course. And I think that's going to work perfect. Let me get that out of there. So the little plastic piece that was around that light bulb will fit, I think, just about perfect. So I think that looks pretty much like a turn signal. I could maybe try pinching in, and that's going to bump the top down though. I say I could try kind of pinching the sides in on this. But I don't know that the slop would be that bad. I think that'll work. Sweet. Just a couple days later, and it is chilly outside. So we're working inside today, finishing up a few little details of this little car here. And then hopefully I'll be able to get some vinyl and we can do the upholstery the next time. And the door panels and that kind of thing. So right now, I think what I'm going to do is get the body mounted back on the frame like it goes, so we can get a really good, accurate measurement for right there. We can notch that steering wheel area out, and we can put our little beetle dash pieces in the dash. I had a couple different clocks from various cars and auction picks and different things, so we're going to use one of those. I had Mr. D go and pick out which one he wanted. He had several to choose from. This is the one he picked, and this is going to be his speedometer, and I think that's going to look pretty good in there. Get that held, if I can hold it and hold the two pieces or not. So it'll go something like that in the dash of his car. So I had to drag out the kerosene heater. It's so cold. We had a couple 70-degree days and it spoiled us. But I think I'm going to try and get that done and then put the chrome strips on the side, and we'll probably notch out the steering wheel and call this one a video. Just because we can't get parts right now. Oh, the hubcaps are supposed to come in. The new hubcaps I ordered are supposed to come in today, so we'll probably get a chance to see if those fit as well. So we get this bolted back up, and we will figure out exactly where we need to go and go from there. Alright, I got that all bolted back on. Another thing I did, I don't think I mentioned in the previous video, was on the bottom side, I just welded a nut to the bottom side, so I don't have to try and hold a washer and a lock washer and all that. I can just thread the bolt or whatever screw I'm using right down into it. So I've got that marked on either side of the steering wheel there, and then I just took a Sharpie and marked a dot, put the steering wheel as straight as I could get it, and so that's going to be center of the steering wheel. We want to keep our speedometer as close to the middle of that as we can. I know it's going to shift a little bit because this edge of this piece has to sit inside this little dash, so I know we're going to be a little off center, but we'll keep it. It's not going to be terrible. It's about two vents over is where my dot is. So we're just going to be a little off center there. That'll be alright. So go ahead and get that body off of there and get these other three things put in there. Because we're just using, I'm just using a drill bit. I got the one down here already done. Just using a drill bit to make my hole. I've marked it. I put the drill in there just to make sure where I'm going here. The dash kind of has a swag to it. It is a Volkswagen, I guess. But we're going to try to make it run with this top line because this top line's straight. So I'm going to bring that up just a little bit like that. I think that looks a little bit better. So yeah, it'll probably be okay. Just makes it stand off a little bit. Yeah, I think it'll be alright. looks pretty good. And then we'll go ahead and drill the holes for our little chrome piece. So our clock is, go ahead and measure the, see what our clock is here. About 2 1/4. So if I allow, what do we say, 2 1/2, that will look good if I put that much spacing between it. 2 1/2 inches. So, wish I could get that bezel off of there. I would just use it as a guide. So we want our panel to be, I think that's probably about right. Just drop that down right there. So we'll put that one right there. We're going for broke, I guess. I get one shot at this, right? How's that? Let me get this cleaned up. I'm not social distancing. I'm fiberglassing. That looks a little better. So I was talking to the little man the other day and he says, you know, Mama, I'd kind of like a cup holder and the luggage rack on the back. And I said, okay, let's see what I can come up with. So I'm gonna come up with a cup holder and a luggage rack. Because that's what you do. Hey, I was just impressed he came up with it, you know? Oh, we gotta put those, I gotta drill those other 2 holes. Ah, man. We forgot those 2 holes there. Let me pop that back in. We'll drill those out and call it good. Well, there it is. I probably should have dropped this one down a little bit more. It's kind of hard to work with that dash that has that kind of swag in it and keep it straight. I think that looks okay though. Good enough for a kid's car. So that part is done. Now I just gotta do the side chrome strips and then should be pretty much done drilling on the body. Well, there's what I came up with for a turn signal. And I think once we put a rubber pad around it, and I'm going to have to take a little bit of rubber cement and make my seal, and then this will just kind of tuck in like the real Volkswagen did. And so like the real turn signal had a little lip that it fit in. And I think that looks pretty legit. And it's all going to be LED because he's just going to have that small, tiny little battery. It's a 12-volt battery, and it runs those like the Power Wheel cars. So it should do fine as long as we only have LED. And they sell replacement LED bulbs for these, I believe, the backlit bulbs. They don't use a lot of energy anyway. So, but this has a light behind it as well. So pull that out and put an LED one in there. But I just need to make one more of those turn signals, get his chrome trim on. I am having to go get some nuts and bolts for that. And I got one turned out real shiny and the other one not so much. So these are just off of the side of a later beetle. So if I can find another one in the stash of our beetle parts that's shinier, I'll get it. They're both the same length. So if I can just find it, I'm not cutting it at all. I'm going to leave it one piece. So I can find another one that's shinier, we'll use it, but I'm going to go ahead and get those on. So we need to make another turn signal, get those on, and while this came, and I think this is the hubcaps. So let's open those up and see what we got. Let's hope they fit this time. I'd rather them be a little bit too big or too wide. than to be too small like they were the last time. I hope that's what this is. Guess I should have checked. I have several things coming from Amazon. Yep, that's the hubcaps. Good deal. And these were half the price of the other ones, so. Shall we? I have to send the other ones back, unfortunately. Quality of the others was better. Tip you down a little bit. Oh yeah. Those are gonna work. Actually even a little bit snug, which is awesome. Perfect. Well, we still have headlights to do, and I want to put a Wolfsburg crest. There's a little crest that goes right here, and then make an emblem. There's an emblem on the hood that goes up there. I'm planning on using some stuff called Shrinky Dink, and it's a piece of paper you draw on it, and as you heat it in the oven, it shrinks down to a size. And the shrink rate, I don't recall what it is, but basically I can draw that hood emblem great big, and then it'll shrink it down, and I can put it right there. So that's what I'm planning on doing on that, and then the emblem on top. Headlights, I'm having trouble. I need like a tractor light or something. These are 4.5 this way and 5 inches this way, a little over 5 inches tall. So, and you can see they're not exactly perfect. This one turns different than this one, or maybe you can't see that, but this mold I think was a reject. That's probably why I got such a good deal on it, but the bumpers are slightly off. And like I mentioned back in that corner there, when I put the screws on the inside in that turn, they're in exactly the same spot, but on the outside they're not. And it does kind of sit funny too. You kind of have to fudge with it. So I think it probably was one that they rejected. But it works fine for us. I'm not going to complain. It looks good. And dash looks good in there. The steering wheel, I don't actually have this adjusted where it goes quite yet. The steering wheel notched out really helped the body sit a little nicer. So that's what our dash looks like. So I think he'll like that. And then a luggage rack. Let me show you what I'm planning on using for that. So I had this. This is something I just picked up off the side of the road. I don't know if it's a piece of a grill. I don't know what it is. It's really clean. It's not dirty at all. Might have come out of an auction pile too. Can't really remember. But it'll make, I was actually going to use it on one of the little motorized bicycles that I've made, but as a luggage rack. But I'm going to use it for this, I think, as a luggage rack. And so I think if we put that right there, and then obviously I'll have to put a tray down on the bottom, or a little shelf on the bottom. But my plan is to come off of the frame with a couple of pins that just drop in, and then just put 2 little feet with rubber stoppers against the frame of the body of the car, rather than putting another hole in the fiberglass, if I can get by with it. And that way he won't be able to mess with the license plate too, so that'll be a win-win. Let's see. I'm gonna probably put this undercoating. I would never use this as undercoating, but somebody gave it to me, or it was in a pile of stuff I got. I'm going to use that for the running boards. It's just like a rubberized spray paint, like a bed liner. So we'll use that for the running boards. We'll paint the bolts or the screws that are in here black, so that you hopefully won't notice them as much. And it's coming along. I'll be so glad when I can go to the fabric store and get what I need to finish it out. The hubcaps fit a little bit better if I take the dust cover off. So I'm going to try to find a flat dust cover. These are domed pretty good. You can see how they dome out. So if I can find a flat one, we'll just exchange them. If I can't, I will cut those right at the cap and just weld a flat piece of steel on there. Because they do fit a lot better without that. A lot snugger, if that's a word. More snug. More snug. But I like those. And then I'm going to paint a VW emblem, or the VW logo that's in a hubcap, Volkswagen hubcap. Like this. I I won't be able to deboss that. I'm not that good. But I can paint that black. So we'll do that to his caps and get him taken care of. So it's coming along now. We're into the fun stuff. And then roll bar is the last of the, quote, hard stuff I have to do. And I really don't think that's going to be too bad. And I do think I'm going to go ahead and cut the frame and move it in just a little bit, the chassis. I don't like this gap here. I know the idea of leaving it that way was so the original car body could go back on. And it still can. We'll just have to modify this bumper mount a little bit. But for this car, I'm going to cut it and slide that in a little bit. I think it'd look better. The bumpers really aren't Volkswagen Beetle-ish, but they're a spring steel. So I think if we just leave those on there, that'll be a good thing for my kid. But it's coming along. It's coming along. So this is what I'm going to try for my Wolfsburg crust. That's what I've come up with. That's what I freehanded out. And then I traced an actual VW Beetle emblem. Need to kind of clean that up right there, but I don't know if 1/3 shrink, it says it shrinks 1/3 of the original size becomes 9 times thicker. So I don't know if that is going to be big enough or if I'm going to have to come up with something a little bit bigger for that one. This I think will probably be about right. So we're going to go preheat the oven and throw these in. It takes 1 to 3 minutes, it says. And see what we get. I think I need to clean that line right there up a little bit, and then that one's good to go too. Well, here they are getting ready to go in the oven. And as soon as I can bring them out and give you a peek, I will. I wish I had a clear door on my oven. I'd show you how they shrink, but we don't. Here we go. We're at 1 minute. Yeah. Volkswagen emblem I need to work on, but I think the crust is pretty good. Yeah, let's see how they look. The VW one I'm going to have to cut perfectly circular because it doesn't want to make a perfect circle. So I'll have to practice. Have to do a little better on that one. It's about the right size though. I think the size is good. We just need to work on getting it circular. And then we got this little guy. And you can see the thickness of them. I think that one's going to be perfect. Ha! How cool is that? Oh yeah. Let me put a piece of tape on it. We'll step back and look at it. Got both chrome strips down the side here. Body bling all in place. Looking good. And I'm hoping to finish this one up on the next video. So the next video you see will be the end of this project. I'm glad because I want to get it out of my garage. But it's been a lot of fun working on it. Got a few little things, loose ends to tidy up on it. And it's pretty well ready to go. So we'll be back on Pickle in a couple weeks. And I know that's what y'all are looking forward to. So I'm looking forward to it as well. Hopefully it'll warm up for us. And we'll be outside working on that. So really want to thank you all for being here and hanging with me on this one. I know it's not typically what you want to see necessarily, but it's what we're working on right now. So that's what you get. Alright everyone, I'll catch you on the next one.